How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So on today's video, we're going to be comparing and contrasting the K20 C2 to the K20 C9 and the hybrid engine, so the 2.0 hybrid engine that are available to this date. We're going to talk about the Civic one. We don't know the engine code, but it's going to be somewhere along the lines of LFXX or LBXX, something like that. So the Accord and the Civic and the CR-V hybrids currently and previous were both a combination of those codes. So the XX is could be numerical and a DID in alphabetical, but just fill in the blank with the XXs. Doesn't really matter. Once we have one in front of us, we'll be able to confirm those engine codes. So the K20 C2 was ultra reliable from Honda. I'm disappointed that they are getting rid of it, but it is what it is. That was just a normal 4-cycle engine, and the new one that replaces it is an Atkinson cycle engine, just like its hybrid counterpart. So we will see what happens here in the long term with those engines. Again, I haven't seen a Civic engine bay yet, but I assume it's going to look a lot like the CR-V and the Accord hybrid engines that are currently in the market. I'm going to have a couple pictures of those engines for you, kind of comparing, contrasting visibly what we could see visibly. So as far as the specification goes, K20 C2 does get 38 miles per gallon, combined 34. So this is an average of the different trims. The K20 C9, so the new engine in the 2025 and up Civic, gets a combined of 31 and 40, combined total of a 34. So 31 city, 40 highway, and then 34 combined. And then as far as a hybrid goes, it's 50 city, 47 highway, and then 49 combined. So as far as the K20 C2 and K20 C9, they're very comparable here. There was a reduction in power from 158 to 150 on the new K20 C9. As far as a hybrid, it does get 200 base horsepower without all the electric stuff. So that's where we'll keep it there. So let's get into the specifics now. So I looked up the specifications of like the blocks, the heads, stuff like that. So the K20 C2, so 22 to 24 Civic and some previous models as well. We're talking about 1996 cc's. So the K20 C9 is 1933 cc's. Same thing with the hybrid 2.0 engine. So same exact displacement as the hybrid. So non-hybrid and hybrid, same exact displacement as far as that. Red line on the K20 C2 was 6,800 RPMs. K20 C9, 6,700 RPMs. So we dropped 100 RPMs. Not a big deal. That's whatever. On the hybrid 2.0, we're talking 6,250. So it's significant, about 500 RPMs or so. As far as the bore and the stroke go, so for the K20 C2, we're talking 86 by 85.9. And then the K20 C9, 81 by 96.7. Hybrid 2.0, 81 by 96.7. So we can see where this is going here. As far as the three different engines, the K20 C9 is a lot more similar to the hybrid engine than it is to the outgoing, K20 C2. So as far as the VTC goes, all three different engines have dual VTC, so intake and exhaust. So not much change there. Honda does a great job with that. We don't see too many issues with VTC actuators or anything like that anymore. That was way back then when Honda introduced it, a couple decades ago. And the only differences I see here in the valve train, so the K20 C2 had a VTEC on the intake side, and the K20 C9 and the hybrid engine no longer have VTEC. They also don't have adjustable rockers, which could be nice, could be bad. You could no longer adjust the valve, so one could see it as, well, it's less maintenance. One could see it as, well, if something happens, there is no adjustability there really to get it perfect. But it is what it is. This is what Honda went with. Just a couple more specifications here. So as far as the transmission goes, the K20 C2 was a 3.941 final. Same thing for the K20 C9, 3.941 final. The hybrid does get a 4.438 final. So gas tanks, they stay the same. 12.4 to 12.4, both K20 C2 and K20 C9. The hybrid does get a smaller gas tank at 10.6. That may or may not matter to someone. The biggest difference on the heads, obviously going to be the VTEC on the one engine and the adjustable rock arms versus the non-adjustable stuff on the other two new engines being introduced into the Civic. And the other thing being that the two new engines are both direct injection, so that could pose some carbon buildup, versus the K20 C2 was very maintenance free. And it was a great engine, slightly underpowered, but they only went backwards there in that area on a K20 C9, which doesn't make any sense to me. We'll have to see a side-by-side comparison as far as acceleration goes, but one could only assume that it's going to be pretty close. I mean, you're not going to really notice 8 horsepower, right? But it is what it is. There was a decent change there, and Honda should have went up, not backwards, in my opinion. But, you know, it is what it is, and this is what we had to deal with. More importantly, some issues we've been seeing with the hybrid engines, and I kind of touched base on this on the 2025 Civic videos. We are seeing a couple of failed injectors, probably one set a week, maybe one set every 2 weeks. So a significant amount of failed injectors. There is also reports of cracked pistons. We have not seen any at our dealership. And there is also a couple of cases of dropped valves. So a valve spring broke, a retainer. Sometimes it's hard to tell just because everything's kind of mangled. But something going on there. We only have one in our shop. There's also other reports. The biggest thing failing at this point is the injectors. Hopefully it's something that Honda could figure out sooner rather than later. And we're seeing them basically mist. So they're staying stuck open and misting into the chamber and then misfiring upon startup. After that, they usually run okay. So kind of different from the other failed injectors on the 1.5Ts and stuff like that, and the J series. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. You guys asked for more specific details on the engine. So once we have some of these engines apart, it'll be easier to tell, you know, and kind of dig in there a little bit easier. All I can tell now is from the pictures that I could get from Honda. So we don't have too many issues with them besides the one having the dropped valve. So, you know, we haven't been in too many engines, which is a good thing, right? Nobody wants to tear apart a brand new engine because that's usually bad, you know, something bad happens. So once we do have some of these engines apart, eventually something will come through the door. Then we'll be able to contrast and compare them a little bit closer. But again, I'm going to have some pictures of the valve train for you guys throughout the video so you can see it. And I'm also going to have some pictures of the physical engines with and without the engine covers. So you guys kind of see that the K20 C9 is a lot closer to the hybrid engine than it is from the K20 T2. It really has nothing to do with the K20 C2 at this point. Kind of weird that they kind of stuck with that engine code, but I don't make these calls, they do. So with that being said, hopefully this video was informative to somebody out there, and I'll catch everyone on the next one.